entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Welcome to another Monday Night Live training, where your journey to business success accelerates. Join us for insights, strategies, and tools to elevate your business while keeping your budget in mind. It's time to transform your passion into profit. Your host, Corey Fonville Foster, is about to take the stage. Get ready to be inspired and empowered. The future of your business starts now.
Hey guys, I'm so excited we are all here for another amazing Monday Night Live. As always, let me make sure everybody is able to get in the room. This is really fun because for the first time, well, maybe not the first time, but very little do we bring on a guest. And so tonight's going to be special. Go ahead as you start seeing the notifications pop up, share this with your community because we're going to be bringing on an expert tonight. So you definitely want to make sure that you are in your seats. Go ahead and get your notebook out, get you a glass of wine, get your pen, because you're going to want to take notes because we're going to have some gems dropped tonight. I think we're almost there. Let me make sure we have everybody in. As you guys know, we broadcast to multiple platforms, and I try to make sure that we all get an opportunity to enjoy this live. All right. I think we are ready. So before I bring on our guests, let me just go ahead and open this up like I always do. Guys who are new here, I'm Corey Fonville Foster. I'm a speaker, trainer, certified business coach specializing in implementation. I'm also the CEO of iRock Marketable Business Solutions, where we support coaches and consultants who have a passion that they are ready to monetize, but they have a shoestring budget. And we work with them to empower them, to give them resources and tools and strategy to grow their amazing businesses. So if that sounds like you are in the right place. Every single Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we host these amazing free Monday Night Live calls where myself typically does the training, and every once in a while we bring on a special guest. So I am so excited. I put the call out to my network. I was like, somebody come help my people talk about taxes. I don't know if you guys have been in the game for any extended period of time, but taxes give me like anxiety. They give me true anxiety because all year long, right? I know y'all are the same way. We're out here trying to make money, get clients, do all these things. And then all of a sudden, once a year, somebody tells us you got to go report all the mess that you've done all year, right? All you spent, where it's gone, how the money came in. And then they're going to do some calculations and say, guess what? Either we owe you some money or you owe us some money, or, we going to call it even. That is terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. And the more terrifying part is the more successful we are, guys, in our businesses, the scarier it gets. Because now all of a sudden they're like, oh, you got a little money, you can pay us. And I'm like, please let me keep it. So today we're going to have an amazing expert, Tracy, who's an accountant, a tax professional. She's been in the game for over 35 years, y'all. So she's not new to this. She's true to this. She's going to come and talk to us about small business taxes. I encourage you to interact in the comments. I will be, if you're doing the replay, I will definitely be sharing these questions with Tracy. I'll ask her to respond as she can, but she's going to be in here and dropping some gems on taxes for small businesses. A little bit more about Tracy. She's the owner of TLJ Professional Services Incorporated, and they are all about all things financial offering services, bookkeeping, accounting, tax, life and health insurance, and more. So this is where we need to be, guys. Sometimes, and I told Tracy this before we started, I said, we can do a lot of things on our own. And I want you guys to feel empowered to do just that. But there are times, okay? There are times when you need to get a professional, right? Because we need a professional to keep us out of jail and a professional to make sure we get our money and keep it. So I'm so excited. Let's bring Tracy on to the screen. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. Thank you again so much for being willing to come on and talk to us and get us straight, because we don't know nothing about no taxes.
I understand. I always say be good at what you're good at and leave the rest to everybody else. If you're not good at it, you should not be the one doing it.
and I don't need to do nothing with taxes. I was telling Tracy before this started, this year was my first surprise tax season. Our business been doing okay, but all of a sudden, my tax person was like, "Hey, we need to have a conversation." I was like, "A conversation?" They were like, you might have to owe these people some money." I was like, "Some money?" As soon as somebody tells you that you owe money, you're like, "But I didn't make enough." And it's like, yeah, this is the time when the baby girl business turns into a big girl business, and I needed
Yes.
somebody probably like Tracy to get me straight before the year started instead of waiting to the end. So we're gonna dive into that. Before we do, Tracy, I know I introduced you a little bit, but tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more because, like I said, 35 years. I couldn't sum you up, as good as you could probably tell us about yourself. So feel free, tell us a little bit about your background.
No problem. So it's actually 40 years now. So yes, we made 40 years this year, actually. So I've been in the accounting profession and preparing taxes. I've been doing taxes since I was 14.
Oh wow.
Um, so I'm very well seasoned in tax preparation. I always say when we have to do it on paper, okay? I've been doing taxes since paper.
Oh my.
Um, but I'm born and raised San Francisco Bay Area. We have well over 300 tax clients. We have over 100 bookkeeping clients. And I do lives and challenges because I love sharing the information that small business owners need. Um, so a lot of people are like, you give away the game for free. Yeah, well, we need to know that, right? So I love sharing the information I have, my knowledge, experience, as well as expertise. I do have a master's in business and accounting as well as public administration.
Oh, excuse me. Like, you know all the things. This is great. Again, thank you for being here because we're going to dive in. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you can have the replay, but go ahead and get those notebooks out, take some notes because we want to know what we need to do now to make sure we're straight. I know tax season kind of was really just getting finished being wrapped up because some people like me filed a little late. But
Right, exactly. The extension. So, yeah.
exactly, got my extension in, but we need to start prepping now. I think that the misconception is you only do taxes once a year, but really when it comes to your business, you really have to be planning that all year long so that you don't
Correct.
have surprises. So can you share some common mistakes that you see like over your 40 years of working with small businesses when it comes to us kind of preparing for tax season? What are some mistakes that you're seeing us do?
So one of the major mistakes that I see, a lot of people jumped on the LLC bandwagon during the pandemic, not knowing the consequences, the requirements, the legislation, none of that, right? And one thing that I find is that people will come to me and say, "Okay, I've done my personal taxes, but I still need my business taxes prepared." If you are a single member LLC, that belonged on your personal tax return. Okay, so now your personal tax return needs to be amended because it should have been filed as a Schedule C on your personal tax return. And even as a partnership or as an S corp, you will get a K1 for your business. So if you have business activities, you have to wait to file your personal return until you get the tax forms from your business. Okay, either as part of your tax return or you'll get a K1 that belongs on your personal tax return. But though that's one of the biggest things that I see people make mistakes about is that they file their personal return and before they file their business return. And a lot of times it's either have to be prepared together or you're waiting for a tax doc for it.
Yeah, I like that you said that. Something that I'm learning a lot more about this year, because I'm a married individual, is the difference between filing jointly and separately when I have a business as well. And when I heard the difference in the numbers, I was like, oh, wait a minute. That we need to know what this is about because when, my husband has his own things and then I have my things, we have a child to claim and a business. If I would have done my taxes myself, I would not have thought that it would have made a difference. But it was a big difference in filing jointly or separately. Do you have
It
any?
definitely is.
Yeah, or do you have any insights in, I know of course case by case basis sometimes, but on like people who have families who also have an LLC, which most of our audience has, like what are some of the things that you think about when you go to telling them like how they should be filing?
So I am a firm component of if you're married, you file married filing jointly. And I've actually proven several cases that married filing jointly, you get a better return than filing separately. Mostly because some of the credits and refundable credits can be disallowed if you file as married filing separately. That's number one. But then also, your phase outs are much lower if you file as a single head of household or married filing separately. So, as a married couple, your phase out periods are higher. So, what do I mean by phase out? So, if you're high income earner, or most credits have a the most amount that you can make, right? So if you're in a high income bracket, then some of those credits may start phasing out, meaning that you can't get 100% of the credit, but you may get a portion of it. And when you do things like married filing separately as a tax status, then a lot of those credits you're not even entitled to because you chose married filing separately. So I've proven case after case that married filing jointly is definitely a better way to go, but it is a case by case basis because student loans may play a part of it, but your business should not,
Okay.
right? So you qualify more for more credits, have higher phase outs as a married couple than, especially when you have children, than if you try to claim it one as single and one as head of household because you're filing separately with your child, right? So I do not recommend splitting the return if you are married. So I have examples where people will be like, well, my husband owes child support. Okay, but it still affects the household. So filing together is just going to pay the debt off faster, right? And it may even reduce some of the liability if you file together. But don't let, child support or prior tax bill be the reason why you don't file jointly because it's affecting the household anyway.
Makes sense. That's the, at least we did something right this year, because I was like, what are these number differences? I mean, I had to take a moment. I was like, wait, hold on. You got to tell somebody, run that back. What's these numbers again? And it was, like you said, it was significantly better for us to file together than
Very
separate.
much so.
And I mean, now look, we don't know about people's relationships, but if you decently married, we ain't gonna say happily, but if you're decently married, then like you said, it affects both. If you ain't playing in the cut and leave this year, it does. It makes more sense, like you said, to file together. Now, I'm giving out all of my bad habits on this live today because I want you guys to know things that I didn't know. And one of the things that I really struggled with personally in my business was keeping organized records throughout the year. I'll be the
Mhm.
first one to say when I first started my business, oh, those funds were intermingled. Like, where is this
Yeah,
money coming from? Where is it going? What account? And I quickly learned, like, don't do that. So I would love some of your suggestions on how we can do better with like keeping organized records. I know like we can't always write off like our clothes, or if we're doing
correct.
travel, or even I didn't even think about like my work phone, things like that. So what are some of your tips for just staying organized?
So part of organization is not commingling, right? So if you have and having a business bank account, okay, so business bank account will not only help you stay organized, and even if you don't have a software like QuickBooks or a money management software or not even keeping a spreadsheet, if you do all activities through that bank account, you can literally download your file and give it to your accountant, and that makes all the difference. But I will say that you're not going to remember something that happened in January last year and you're now in March of this year, right? Or even now with the extension, we're about to be in August, right? You're not, the
Mm,
brain doesn't work like that. So it's best to invest in your business, right? And get the lowest level of QuickBooks, if nothing else, because it is a tax write off and you're more organized. So I always use the term don't leave money on the table,
yeah.
right? By not being organized, I guarantee, and by commingling funds, you are definitely leaving money on the table. You're missing deductions because how will you remember too? Oh, I use this personal card over here to pay for XYZ,
Yeah.
right? How do you remember what cards you use and all that stuff if you're not using just business activity type cards and accounts and stuff like that? So, one of the main things is do not commingle, open a business account and invest in uh, an expense tracking software. It's worth the money because you'll save that much and not leave money on the table. You remove that risk.
Yes, I love that you said that because even though my assistant takes care of a lot of that for me, every now and then I'll get that email like, "What was this for?" And I'm like, don't let it
Right,
be more than a week ago." I'm like,
right.
and then it's like even mileage. I'm like, can you go back and Google that math because I don't remember. And so it is important to have a system in place. One, get a bookkeeper or an accountant; they'll help you. But if you're not, then definitely have a system in place to really write down or keep track of what these expenses are. Because of course you have your overhead, the things
Mhm.
that are always going to come out, but special stuff just be happening. You might have had a business
Right.
or what have you, and you will not remember where that $50 came from or what the reason was. And it's a lot of things. So I would say definitely stay organized and kind of staying in that vein. When we think about, because I know in QuickBooks you can put categories, what are some of the key categories we should be kind of putting that information into as far as like our expenses and things of that nature?
So a lot of times there's common expenses among business, but there's also industry specific expenses. So your chart of accounts or categories should be inclusive to your business. Okay. And you do want to break it out as much as possible. Don't lump everything into a miscellaneous because it really doesn't tell you what you spent your money on. Another thing is do not pay cash for expense items because you receipts fade and there is no mandate on different vendors using specific ad tape or cash register tape that doesn't fade. If you fold a receipt, it definitely fades in the crease, number one, but you want to make sure that you're capturing all of your expenses. So again, I mean, I'm very pro QuickBooks Online simply because it's a very user friendly software. I know there's other software tools out there that can help you manage your expenses. But QuickBooks is actually user friendly. And you mentioned the key thing about mileage. You could download the app on your phone and track your mileage from your QuickBooks software and tie it to a customer if it's bill backable, billable items and things like that. So having a software is crucial. And your expense categories, the main ones you will have is your recurring, right? Overhead expenses like rent or utilities or office supplies, things like that. But common expenses that are missed are your cell phone, the
Yeah.
miles. Because people look at their cell phone as it's my personal cell phone. But if you have a business, you're probably using your cell phone for more than just your personal. Like I use my cell phone more for business than personal. And even when I'm talking personal, I'm normally talking business too, because my friends and family will reach out, right, to ask tax questions and bookkeeping questions and stuff like that. So just being organized, keeping your expenses, your chart of accounts up to date. And that's where hiring a professional to set up your chart of accounts or set up your accounting software so that they can capture all of your expenses based on how you spend. So even though we may be in the same industry or provide the same service, our spend may be different. So
Yeah.
there is no one size fit all. So I'm a firm component that there's no two businesses alike, even if we're in the same industry.
Makes perfect sense. And I will say to you guys who have been with us for a while, I'm always recommending you use like a CRM system, that customer relationship management system,
Mhm.
something like a Honeybook. Look, when you go to purchase a CRM, a lot of times they will integrate. So Honeybook does integrate with QuickBooks. So as you are billing clients and sending out your contracts and invoices, it automatically populates in your QuickBooks account. Also, because I am not very good at these things, QuickBooks is actually really good because they will let you have meetings with like QuickBooks specialists that also help you set it
Correct.
up. And then you can also hand over your QuickBooks to your bookkeeper or accountant, whomever you're using. We've done that in the past as well. Have somebody else run it for us. So if you're like, I hear that it's user friendly, but I'm not tech savvy, there are some options to still utilize that software
Correct.
within your business in different ways. Now we talked about the cell phone, but I know there are other deductions, especially related to like your house, if you own your home and different things like that. So what are some common deductions that we as business owners, especially with like LLCs, can utilize to help us with these taxes?
Okay, so yeah, let's dive into that because people are under the impression that they can write off 100% of their household expenses.
I
You
wish.
cannot. You cannot.
Dang
Unless
that.
that house is used 100% for business, then you cannot write off 100% of your mortgage or your rent or your utilities, landscape, and all that stuff. It's based on the size of the area that you use in your household. So let's say that you have a house that is 1,000 square feet and you use 250 square feet. That's 25% of the bills, right? So if you have multiple rooms, then it may be half, right? Half of the expense, depending on the size of the unit. But you cannot write off 100% of your rent, mortgage, or utilities. And I see that as a common mistake that people make.
We trying, man. We if
Yeah,
we
yeah,
say, can I do
yeah,
something in this room? I'm like, can I do the biggest room in my house? Can I do something? Because I'm like, boy, them numbers. But I appreciate that because I do think, I'm not gonna lie. Like, we're gonna be transparent. I've asked I think there's no dumb questions. I said, can I write off my wigs? Can I write off my hair, my clothes? Can I write off I asked any question. I actually told her one year. I said, until Trump pays taxes, I don't want to pay taxes either. Like, what can I write off? And so, I mean, ask your tax professional, but definitely understand, like you said, we can't write off everything. I wish we could.
correct.
But there are probably some things you could write off that you're not thinking about. We have a lot of computers and things, and we were able to write off some of that furniture for the business, things of that nature. We were able to write off. We talked about mileage, some meals that were business meals,
Correct.
travel. There were a lot of things you may not even think about. And so it's important to have conversations. And I would say if you can't have at least one conversation with your tax professional, that probably isn't the one for you unless you're very knowledgeable in the area, because they say some things that you're like, oh yeah, I did do that. And I tell them, just keep asking me stuff. Like, let's work on it to get
Exactly.
me down. So I love that you kind of talked about that. And I like that you're truthful. Stop. I don't want to be y'all. I'm gonna talk to us for a second. Stop going to cousin Buki to do these taxes. Because they be like,
Because the book is going, it land you in jail. You
they
better
laid
stop.
you right in jail. You're gonna get audited. They gonna get you. I know it feels good to hear that you getting thousands of dollars back, but if you don't get to keep it, then what's the point?
Exactly.
What's the point? Because they're not gonna just take it back. They're gonna take it back and they're gonna penalize you. So let's not.
Correct.
Let's do it the correct way. Um, I want to kind of go and move into the understanding of, like I said before, yes, we pay taxes. Well, kind of, sort of. We pay taxes once a year. There are some other options, but what can we do as business owners as far as making sure that when we're ready for the tax season, if we do want to do it yearly, but what are some of our other options if we want to possibly separate it so we don't get as many surprises throughout the year?
Okay, so depending on what state you're in, you may have a franchise fee. Depending on your business structure, you may have to pay taxes, you may not, right? It may be a pass through entity. Um, One thing that I want you to be mindful of is utilizing a tax professional and developing a relationship with them. So something that you had said early on was that your tax preparer, they showed you both ways. You can't go to an H&R Block and expect them to do that. Okay? And then that personalization is gone. So one of the main things that I want to make sure that all of your viewers and any viewer understands is the importance of the relationship you have with your tax preparer, because they'll know exactly what you can write off. You mentioned hair and nail. Now, me as an accountant, unless I'm going to a speaking engagement, that's not a tax deduction for me. But
Mm.
as a podcast person or a TV person, you would be able to write that off. So,
You
it's
know,
very,
like you think I'm playing? I'm about
it's
to call up after this.
look,
Like,
we don't care.
like I had to get me a paper. Wait a minute. You said I can what? Y'all think I'm
Yes,
playing?
because it's your public image, right? So
Mm.
it's part of your advertising and marketing expense to be camera ready. Does that make sense?
Yep.
That's like dry cleaning your clothes. Just because you are cute and you buy, every time you go out of town, you buy a suit or whatever, that don't mean that you can write off the dry cleaning expenses. If it's not a uniform, you may can't deduct that. Travel, you mentioned travel. If your travel get extended, you might have to go buy something that can be deductible. So every situation can be different, and that's why you want to use a professional as well, because how would you know that?
Yep. And I think too, we have to highlight that experience matters too. And different people specialize
Very
in
much
different things.
so, because
When
there's
I
a whole
started,
lot of new ones.
yes, and when I started paying taxes, we had a nice lady, but she was kind of general. Like if you didn't want to go to H&R Block, you didn't have to have a business. You were coming to her, and she was amazing. But we quickly realized as the business grew that we needed somebody who really understood business taxes. They're not the same, and
Correct.
they don't. They could be having the best intentions, but they just may not be able to help you at the level that you need as your business grows. Taxes is the game we all have to play, but we don't have to lose at it. And a lot of that is just having the right person. And like you said, having that relationship. I need somebody that can talk back to me. Like, let me
Right.
know and help me prepare. Because I'm like, I don't want to be struggling and stressed out in January. I want to know what is our game plan because then I know also how to spend. I know, hey, we need to do this. We need to use this space. We need to keep track of these things. This is
Right.
deductible. Even like when I invested in coaches, when I started getting more expensive coaches, I was like, "Can I write this off?" They're like, "Yeah,
Yes,
that's
you
a
can.
option." I said, "Well, here we go. Now I feel more comfortable taking that
Right.
leap into that investment." And I would not have known that just working with a general tax professional, like you said, H&R Block, those kind of
Correct.
things once a year. They're just going to take whatever you give them, spin it in the computer, and do it back. You're doing your own taxes, TurboTax. You don't even know what to look for, what form to fill out. So it is important to have someone in your corner. And I know you may be thinking, but it costs. It costs you more, I promise you.
Yes,
If
it
you
will.
don't have the professional. I've done it both ways. And when you don't have the professional, you're gonna be mad at yourself. I'm just gonna say that.
Exactly. And then to go back to your initial question, what can you do to not have that surprise at the end of the tax year? Well, you should be paying quarterly taxes anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. The only tax structure that does not require that is an S corp, and that's because you're supposed to be on payroll. You're paying your taxes directly through your wages, so you don't have to worry about quarterly taxes. However, as a LLC, you cannot write off your wages. So
Just wrap it
therefore,
out.
and if you didn't put yourself on payroll, then you will have a tax bill unless you have a loss. So I've heard people say, well, I'm going to start a business so I can reduce my taxes. You're in business to make money, not lose money. Because anytime that you have a negative or a net loss in your business, that means you came out of pocket. Right. So if you're in business, you might be saving on taxes, but you paying for it elsewhere. So the concept should not be, I don't want to pay taxes. The concept should be how I can reduce my taxes, because we're gonna pay some taxes.
Mhm.
Okay. If you're a profitable business, no matter what business structure you are, you're gonna pay taxes as long as you're making a profit. And people think that Trump doesn't pay taxes. Honestly, I believe it's not that he doesn't have a tax liability, it's that he has so much losses, so many
Mhm.
failed ventures, that he has these capital gain losses that negates his profits to zero.
Yep.
So that's where the tax liability is zero. It's not that he didn't have one, he just have this credit that wipes it out. So it's a difference, right? Because as long as you have a profit in your business, you have a tax liability. But if you have these losses to take it to zero, you're taking it to zero. So Trump Tower is the only asset or business that I've ever seen just stick around that Trump has, right? Is his hotel chain.
Mhm.
So they must be making a profit. Because how are they staying in business if they're not? All his other stuff fails. So how is Trump Tower not failing? Right? So you have to dig deeper than that. It's on the surface he ain't paying taxes. Don't believe that.
Look, set me straight. I just was like, hey, we gotta do something. I'm telling you, once you start, like you said, making a profit, it gets crazy. Because at first it was like, okay, we got a little spending cash. That's all we made. So it was like we were okay. Then it was like, okay, we kind of hit even because we were spending quite a bit and growing. Now that we done scaled a bit, I'm like, whoo, you got to get a cup of
Correct.
coffee, some tea, some wine. You're like, oh, this for real. And yes, you're right though. We are in business to make money, and with anything, yeah, when you making money, Uncle Sam wants his cut. And so we
Exactly.
just have to sometimes change our mindset around that. Because yes, a lot of us may be used to just getting that tax return at the end, and we're like, "Ooh, we get to go shopping." But I also learned that that was your money anyway. You just overpaid.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
It
So
ain't no.
people would think that they're supposed to get a refund. It's like, no, number one, not all credits are refundable,
Mhm,
right? So, but if you didn't pay no taxes, how you gonna get a refund? Because a refund is literally you overpaid your tax liability. That's what
mhm.
the refund is. Now there are refundable credits that you have to qualify for, right? So, and like during the pandemic, for example, they made a lot of the non-refundable credits become refundable to try to help stimulate the economy. So now that all of those pandemic credits and all that stuff is gone, people is looking at me like, why my taxes ain't like that? Because all of those benefits are gone, right? So as a business owner, you have to prepare to pay taxes because it comes with the territory. But that means that you're growing, right?
Yes,
And you're expanding. And that's the goal.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's that shift in mindset that I experienced this year because I was like, oh my goodness.
And
Uh,
congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Right? Because that's what you in business for. Girl, wipe them tears and keep wiping them because you want that problem every year. You in
Yes,
business to make money. Okay. So
definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
But the key is having tax strategies so that all your profits don't go to Uncle Sam. So it starts even with your business structure. I call that your foundation, right? So there's so much more that you can do. I'm very pro S corp because there's so much more deductions and ways that you could make your money pre-tax than there is just as an LLC, right? You have to be an LLC taxed as an S corp to get some of the benefits that's allotted to you. But having a tax strategy is how you don't pay as much. But it's not that you won't pay taxes. It's just how much can you keep to operate in the business, right? And
Absolutely.
and it's a strategy.
And this is why you need a professional. And like I said, usually on these calls, we don't harp on that. But guys, this is just such a different beast. It's almost like a different language. And unless you want to, dive in and learn it, it's best to have somebody that can hold your hand along the way. I know, and again, transparency. I know we've been in search for the last couple of years for a new tax professional as our business has grown. And it really takes doing some research, having conversations, asking your other business people for referrals because you really need like a best friend. Like help me,
Yeah.
bring me along because it's not just about paperwork. It's really like you said about the strategy. And we only got a little bit of time on this call. You're not getting the whole strategy. Plus, like she said earlier, businesses are different. So the strategy that may work for me may not make sense for your business and what
Correct.
you do. And so I really encourage you guys, and I will make sure that I drop all of Tracy's links down for you guys, and we're also going to highlight her on our expert section on the website. So from now on, you'll be able to see her information. Don't wait till January. Don't do that. They are booked and busy. You're not going to get the best out of any tax professional if you wait to tax season because they are just going. So please,
I want to comment on just that piece while
yeah,
you're on that topic. Another reason why you don't want to wait until January because you've let the opportunity pass to do
absolutely.
something about it. Okay. So there's only so much time to put strategies in place for the current tax year. So if you wait till after January, you've kind of let some of those strategies go by the wayside. So now is actually the time to start looking at what your taxes is going to look like, what the rest of your year is going to look like, because part of your monthly strategy is knowing your numbers
Absolutely.
and analyzing peak seasons. And that's the accounting side of things. It's not bookkeeping, it's your accounting, knowing your numbers and knowing peak seasons and knowing how to address them when they come and address when they're not here, things like that. All of that's part of tax strategy. It's not tax preparation. So you have to do that before January, because by January you're now at tax preparation, not strategy.
All right, y'all heard it. Look, 40 years in the game. You ain't got to believe me, but she knows her stuff. So, again, there's so much more we could dive into, but we're running short on time. And I want to respect Tracy's time because I begged her to come on. I was like, please, please, please. And she met the call. But, guys, definitely check out her. As a matter of fact, I think I have it up. I can pull it up. Yes, I can. Look at me doing some technology. I can pull up her website for you guys, so you can check it out. There it goes. There it is. But yes, definitely check it out. She does more than just tax services. So there's an opportunity for you to really have all of your bookkeeping, accounting things managed by a professional that knows what they're doing, that understands the small business world, and can get you what you need. Obviously, there's going to be an investment, but again, from personal experience, I guarantee you that you're going to save more over time by having that professional with the strategy, with the support, with the skill set than if you try to do it alone. So definitely connect. Um, if you for some reason if you can't find a link, shoot me a message. I will get you connected with her ASAP. Because I might be hitting you up. I ain't gonna lie. I might be hitting you up after this because you said some good things, and I'm already gonna talk to my tax lady. Like, hold on, before you hit the button, wait a second, because I got
Right.
receipts.
Exactly.
I got receipts for this. But thank you again for coming. Before we leave off, is there any last words of encouragement, motivation, implementation that you may want to share with the audience?
Yeah, so I would like to let viewers know, if you are in the San Francisco Bay Area in California, I'm actually having an in person business intensive. It's called Intensify Her. It's this Saturday, August 3rd in Oakland. We're going to have a VIP brunch vision board where you're going to manifest your business. We're going to have workshops talking about the business deductions, some do's and don'ts, the business um, strategies, and then we'll also have a sip and paint. So this is a women's empowerment event. Um, get in the room with like-minded people. Okay, you have to get out the way of yourself to allow your business to grow and expand to what you want it to be. But first, you have to know what it is. So you wouldn't believe how many times I speak to business owners as a business coach, and you're just in the day-to-day operation. So that's what you was doing, Miss Corey, and now you've come out of it, right?
Mhm.
So you definitely have to know where you're going in your business to even know when you arrive. Okay, what's your end game? What is it that you're trying to achieve in your business? So all of those things, that's what the workshop is for. It's a working session. It's so that you can work on your business, because a lot of times we spend so much time working in our business go by the wayside because we're doing so much for clients and so forth. So I want to leave that part of wisdom. You have to work on your business just as much as in your business. So take that time to dedicate for your business and work with professionals. You cannot do it all. You do yourself a disservice, and you are definitely leaving money on the table trying to do it all.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for those gems you've given. Look, you've given me, and I know the audience a lot to think about. Guys, don't forget, if you're watching the replay, still drop those questions, those comments in. We will be sharing all of the links that you need to connect. And again, if you go to iRockMarketableBusinessSolutions.com, you'll be able to go to our expert section today, because I'm going to post it right after this, to be able to connect with Tracy and
Thank
start
you.
work.
Thank you so much. I'm honored for you tapping me on the shoulder. Like, can I? Yes, I'm honored to share gems with your crowd. welcome me back anytime. I would love to be your guest. We could sit up and talk about taxes for weeks and weeks on end. One subject at a time, literally.
I'm gonna hold
Uh,
you to that.
one expense at a time, literally. But it's been an honor and a pleasure to join your podcast.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, remember, I rock, you rock, we all rock. Join us every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.